What's going on, everybody? We're back. Gonna get back to the regular scheduled programming. Got plenty of news. We got the Trump tariffs going into effect. We got some interesting things happening. Basically, end of last week, Trump threatened Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs if they don't basically meet our demands, which the demands obviously for each country were different. Canada, I'm not really sure what the demands are. Mexico is more based around the fentanyl crisis and basically allowing us to deport Mexican citizens back to Mexico and the border crisis in general kind of thing going on. And then hit China with 10% tariffs as well. In the past, I mean, these have been talked about quite a bit of whether they're just a negotiating tactic or it was the plan all along just to institute the tariff. There's a lot of tariff talk been going on. I tried to look into it myself a little bit, learn a little bit about the concept in general of tariffs. I don't know, Economics Explained, another solid YouTube channel, had a good thing on it. What I gleaned from that is really, I mean, economically, tariffs are kind of an overall negative, it seems, but there is certain instances and good reasons why you'd institute them. Protectionism, stuff like that, like where you're going to want to develop your own country's infrastructure of, not infrastructure as in roads and things, but the ability to create certain products or manufacture certain things in your own country, not outsource them like how we do, say, with China. They export a bunch of medicine to the United States, and the United States doesn't manufacture it. It comes from China. So in the case we got in an altercation with China, how do we get our medicine? We don't make it, they make it. They're not going to send it to us anymore. So that's a real problem. Same with computer chips, all the stuff going on with Taiwan. But overall, I think I would lean more on the free trade side. That makes a little more sense. Just if people want to trade things, let them trade things. If that brings costs down, as it typically does, that's all good. But there's definitely instances where we are losing this agreement we're making with all these other countries, and America ends up paying the price. Tariffs, however, I mean, it seems like it's consensus pretty much. In the short term, will cause prices to go up. That's just what it is. You put tariffs on imports from other countries, the prices are just going to go up, which, I mean, we could get into all kinds of stuff, is going to drive inflation. All kinds of negative things can come out of that. But it's the long-term gain that you're hoping to develop your country's ability to produce these things instead of outsourcing it all to other countries. And that is the end goal. Good jobs, strategic resources, things like that. Canada, I know we import a ton of natural resources from. Mexico, we import all kinds of food, I think, is a huge one. And then manufacturing, I think quite a bit of manufacturing happens in Mexico and then comes up to the United States just because the labor is cheaper. But the thing that's interesting, really, is the 25%. I think 10%, it sounds like that's going to go forward on China regardless. The 25% on Canada and Mexico. Both Canada and Mexico came out and said, if you do that, we're going to institute tariffs as well. I think that like I said, the going economic theory is tariffs will, at least in the short term, hurt you economically. Everybody has been saying the United States shouldn't implement tariffs because it's going to hurt us economically. I'm trying to understand this in my head personally, that if we institute tariffs, why would the other country retaliate and institute tariffs if it doesn't benefit them in any way, if it also just hurts them? Because in my mind, the United States has the majority of the leverage here. I mean, we're the world's biggest economy. Canada and Mexico are not. I mean, China's number 2. I don't know what comes after that. I'm assuming it's probably like India, Germany, a couple countries in Europe, and then we're going to hit Mexico and Canada somewhere in there in the around 10 spot. But we outpace them by a lot. So we have the leverage here. I know we import a ton of things from them, but I mean, if we don't give them the money because we're not buying their products anymore, their economies in theory are going to collapse because we consume almost everything they export. So we'll see how it works, but we have the leverage. And the really important thing is today, Mexico came out and said, the president of Mexico and Trump had a good conversation, is the way they worded it, I guess. It was in Spanish. You can go read the tweet if you want. But they are going to postpone the tariffs a month to do further negotiations, I guess. And then also Mexico's agreed to station 10,000 troops, National Guard, like Mexican National Guard, their military troops on the border to deal with border crossings and fentanyl, like trafficking things along the border, which sounds like a win. And I think our concession on the United States end was we're going to try to at least do a better job of limiting the amount of firearms, like the amount of weapons that come into Mexico from the United States. Since there's so many guns in the United States, so many guns are manufactured here, I think it's mainly just, like you could say it's criminals, cartels, whatever, basically just shipping the guns over from the United States into Mexico. I'm sure the government sells some too here and there on the side, but we're going to try to slow that. I don't think that's a bad concession on our end if they're going to put 10,000 troops. I mean, what's the end goal? I'm sure they'll reevaluate in the end and see what that 10,000 troops got and how the numbers look at the end of the month as they negotiate further. But I think that's a good move. That's the tariff being used in its ideal scenario, I think, where it's a threat of a tariff, to use it to negotiate to put us in a better situation. That makes perfect sense to me. Use it all you want. And then Canada comes in, and that's when the threat of the tariff is only as good as your willingness to execute the tariff. And as of right now, Canada's trying to strong-arm America, which I don't think in the long term is going to work, and saying, you tariff us, we're tariffing you, and we're not conceding to what you want right now. And we're going to have to see how that goes. As of right now, Canada's holding strong on it, I guess. And Trudeau came out. I know he's no longer their prime minister, but he's still like a leader of their government. Came out and was saying, Canadians, just buy Canadian, don't buy American products, just stick to buying homemade shit, which is ironically enough the whole point Trump's kind of making is like we want to make things in America, buy in America, even if it's more expensive. That's what tariffs do. So they're gonna try to hold out, it seems like. I watched a nice informational video about Canada's oil production and how much of their oil we buy. It's a weird relationship. They can't refine it there in Canada, so they sell it to us at a discount. Sounds like they sell it to us at a discount for a bulk discount, and just because we're right here, we can refine it, they can't. And if we don't buy their oil, I mean, obviously here gas prices and some things will suffer, but if you don't sell your oil, which is your biggest industry in your country, as far as I know, like oil and lumber, and then like other raw materials are their biggest industries. If we don't buy your oil, what are you gonna do? You have no money. There's no income. So I don't know how that'll work out. We'll have to see how it plays out. But like I said, the tariff's only as good as the threat of the tariff. If you said we're putting a 25% tariff on you, and they said, well, fine, then we'll put a 25% tariff on you, and then you said, well, okay, maybe not. Then you hold no water. It holds no weight. It's pointless. You have no leverage anymore because you won't institute the tariff. You have to be willing to do it. Hey, if both sides suffer a little bit to in the end America works out a better trade deal with Canada, that's a win in my book. Obviously there's a level to which the pain isn't worth, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze in this scenario. I think Trump felt that a little bit probably because I know he's real interested in stock market as far as like a metric for how well the country's doing, and the stock market did not like this shit one bit. Stock market tanked this morning. I don't know how well it's recovered. But I mean, big moves like S&P 500 down over 1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's S&P 500, it's like $1 trillion of value, or roughly around each percent. And I know crypto, I mean, Ethereum, I think Ethereum tanked like 20% this morning at its low, like from its high to its low in one 24-hour period. It's recovered quite a bit, and crypto's all over the place. But I mean, there's obvious, we've talked about it before, but the uncertainty that comes out of these negotiations is not good for the stock market. They do not like this. The hedge funds don't like it. The powers that be do not like the uncertainty. So, I don't know. So far, it sounds like we got one win. That sounds pretty good. I know Trump kind of strong-armed Colombia like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, about taking back like our deported Colombian citizens that the United States has deported. They weren't going to let them land, and then they backed off already. So I think that's a win. Anything that makes America stronger in the end is a win. Yeah, short-term pain, long-term gain, hopefully is the goal. But we're going to have to watch and see. Like I said, I'm still trying to understand the real impact of tariffs. I mean, I've never had a reason to really look into it like this. This is an escalation. We've had tariffs in the past, but this is extreme compared to the past. So we'll see. I don't know. You guys got to let me know what you think. If we're going to end up better than where we are now at the end of this, or worse off. You tell me. Leave a comment. Like the video if you got something out of it. Dislike it if you didn't. Like I said, we'll be back to the regular schedule here. Videos every day, every weekday. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.